What is going on, y'all? It's your man EK here, back with another video, going over the Game 1 result of the NBA Finals. Game 1 of the NBA Finals is officially done, with the New York Knicks going on the road, winning their 12th straight playoff game, and San Antonio taking Game 1 of the NBA Finals 105-95 against the San Antonio Spurs. And we're going to get into why the Knicks won, why the Spurs lost, and what adjustments I think both teams are going to make going into game 2. But before I do that, like I do with all my videos, please go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube. It's free. Also, go ahead and follow me on X at Coalition Hoops, and follow me on IG at coalition.hoops. Now let's get into it. So, going into this series, I think a lot of people thought that the San Antonio Spurs would have the considerable edge over the New York Knicks for a number of reasons. One, because of Victor Wembanyama and his ability to be a absolute generational deterrent on the defensive end, and his ability to be a extremely versatile scorer from all three levels, right? And then when you add in a lot of the other guys that they have, like Stephon Castle, and Dylan Harper, Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, Harrison Barnes, De'Aaron Fox when he's on, you know what I mean? All those guys who have the ability to create their own offense in their own sort of way, while also being positive for defense. I think a lot of people thought, the depth of the San Antonio Spurs combined with Victor Wembanyama sort of anchoring that ship would cause too much, or would be too much for the New York Knicks to handle. Obviously, that wasn't the case in game 1, even though tonight the Knicks did go down by as much as 14 points, but they were able to stay in the game, and a lot of that had to do with Karl-Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robinson. I think the job both Karl-Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robinson did on Victor Wembanyama when they were matched up against him throughout the course of the game was awesome. We got to talk about Cat first. Cat had 18 points, 12 rebounds. He was incredibly effective on the defensive boards. He was also incredibly effective on the defensive end, just providing a big body, a deterrent, a long, active defender who was able to make Victor Wembanyama's life very, very hard, pretty much for the entire night. And then when you talk about Mitchell Robinson, the guy who was mostly a defender and a rebounder, he was able to do the same thing as well. The one thing I did like about Cat is that he historically has been a guy who gets into foul trouble early in games. And he had 4 fouls tonight, and the 4 fouls were pretty much spread out through the entire game, which just shows me he was very, very intentional about being disciplined on the defensive end, keeping his hands up, making sure that his body is square, making sure that he's able to not get totally beat to certain spots on the floor where he could pick up just little silly fouls, something that he would normally do when he passed, and he didn't do that tonight, so I got to give it up to him. Obviously, Mitchell Robinson was awesome coming off the bench, for the Knicks. Just another big body you could throw at Victor Wembanyama, just try to make his life a little bit more difficult, especially trying to force him out the paint, make him be more of a jump shooter, make him be more of a perimeter threat, because that's something that at this point, I think guys who are similar lengths as him will have some sort of success guarding him on the perimeter in those sort of scenarios. That's what we saw tonight, right? But then we also got to talk about Josh Hart. Josh Hart, who only had 3 points tonight, but had 15 rebounds, 6 assists, and 4 steals. And throughout the course of the game, from the first quarter all the way to the end of the game, he rebounded every single missed shot. Defensively, offensively, he was rebounding from the slot. He was rebounding from the weak side, the strong side, going down the middle of a rebounding. When we talk about rebounding in big playoff games, this is what we mean, being able to provide extra possessions for your team or stalling possessions for the opposing team. And that's what he was able to do the entire night. Every time San Antonio tried to make a run and maybe they could make a basket off of a broken play or an offensive rebound, Josh Hart was there to get a defensive rebound. Every time the Knicks needed an offensive rebound or extra possession, especially in the fourth quarter, late in the fourth, Josh Hart was there to do that, man. And the guy rebounding at that level, who's 6'4", 6'5", it creates such an advantage for your team. You know what I mean? Because the San Antonio Spurs don't have a 6'4", 6'5" guy who can rebound like that and also pass very well, and also play incredible defense. And Josh Hart seems to be the type of guy who doesn't really need to have a play ran for him, but could a lot of times lead his team in minutes because of everything else he does on the floor. And in an NBA Finals, series where every possession is crucial, where you need every possession to go your way, or you need the majority of possessions to go your way, Josh Hart is definitely a positive in that area, right? Now, we need to talk about the man, the myth, and the guy who's becoming a legend in New York, Jalen Brunson. Now, Jalen Brunson had 30 points tonight. He was 12 for 31 from the field. Throughout the course of the first three quarters, he struggled shooting the ball, right? The San Antonio Spurs were throwing a lot of different defensive coverages at him. They were blitzing him on pretty much every single pick and roll he was trying to run on either side of the floor. When he did get into the middle, they were crowding him a lot, and he wasn't really able to get a lot of those one-on-one opportunities. Also, early in the game, he ended up banging his knee, had to go to the locker room. He was out for an extended period of time, and then when he came back, he was kind of favoring that knee a little bit, but he was able to sort of shake it off at the beginning of the fourth quarter. Because at the beginning of the fourth quarter, he was actually out of the game. And then by the time he got back into the game, probably with 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, he ends up scoring 13 points on 5 of 9 field goal shooting. And a lot of that had to do with either him getting to the free throw line, him scoring the transition, him scoring off of broken plays, and him getting one-on-one isolation opportunities in order to score. Right, he had two very, very tough buckets, one over Julian Champagny, and he had the backbreaking one late in the fourth quarter, the fadeaway midi, like 15-foot midi over Devin Vassell. And when Jalen Brunson is able to get single coverage against anybody, anybody of any size, I think he's going to be able to have that advantage. But he's so crafty. He has such great touch from all three levels, and he's an extremely skilled player when it comes to his footwork and when it comes to being able to get to his spot. Even though he may not be faster, he may not be quicker, his footwork and his touch make him incredibly tough to guard. And that fourth quarter, when it was close, like I said, OG hit some tough shots late or early in the fourth and things of that nature, but Jalen Brunson, he was the reason why the Knicks were able to pull away and win that game. Right? Mind you, the game was tied with about 2:40 left to go. And plays from Jalen Brunson, plays from Mikal Bridges, plays from Josh Hart. Those are the reasons why they were able to pull away and win that game. But Jalen Brunson was absolutely the difference in this game. And I think for the Knicks, what they need to continue to do is try to run as much offense through Jalen Brunson as they possibly can, while also allowing Cat to sort of be a post hub when Jalen Brunson is either out of the game or when he's off the ball, the off chance that he's off the ball, because I think Cat played offensively a very, very good and solid game as well. And that's what the Knicks are going to need. They're going to need that type of effort on both ends of the floor if they want to win this series. And really quickly on the Spurs side, I thought Victor Wembanyama, he just struggled a little bit. I thought, the Knicks did a good job of forcing him, out of the paint. And I think for him and for the Spurs to be dominant, he's going to have to score and do most of his work inside of the paint. Because once he's able to do that, it's going to allow some of those perimeter players like a Devin Vassell, like a Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper, to have more open opportunities on the perimeter. Because, the more Victor Wembanyama dominates on the defensive end, on the offensive end in the paint, he's going to draw more help. And then that's going to allow guys to get wide open shots. And I think the Knicks did a really good job of forcing him out the paint. If they play through Wemby and he's mostly in the paint, I think they're going to be very, very tough to beat. And I think that's something they're probably going to try to adjust. Also, and I really do love this guy, but De'Aaron Fox, the man had 7 points on 3 of 13 shooting tonight, man. It's not going to cut it. I understand he's dealing with a high ankle sprain, but it's not going to cut it. He's got to be better. And Dylan Harper was absolutely amazing. 16 points off the bench, 6 of 10 field goal shooting. He was great. And I think if the Spurs want to have any chance of winning the series, I think they're going to have to increase Dylan Harper's minutes. And they may have to decrease De'Aaron Fox's minutes, especially if he continues to favor that ankle. But it's only one game. We'll see how it goes. But player of the game for me is definitely Jalen Brunson. 30 points, 12 for 31, 13 points in the fourth quarter, 5 of 9 shooting. He was awesome, right? And yeah, that's all I got, man. So once again, man, make sure y'all follow me on IG at coalition.hoops, on X at coalition hoops, and subscribe. Y'all take it easy.